Welcome back to Monaco and the PokerStars Championship presented by Monte Carlo Casino. The final day, the final table where we are still five-handed, meaning it's a little shallow right now. I am James Hartigan alongside Joe Stapleton.
Hello, my babies. I don't want to say Monaco is expensive, but 3 fingers of Glenlivet costs 3 actual fingers.
Right now, Rafael Sorrentino has the chip lead, but he has fewer than 50 big blinds. Andre Bondar second in chips with 35 bigs. 2 players with fewer than 20 big blinds apiece. Maxim Paniak, the player at immediate risk, with 11 big blinds. 80,000, 160,000, 20,000 ante. Level 31 of the main event is underway.
Come get some.
I think it's a good deal for you.
11 big blinds on the bottom, 17 just above that, 22 just above that. That is 3 short stacks.
80, 160,
2 short stacks and 1 me.
So hashtag PokerStars TV if you'd like to get in touch this evening. And a reminder that the podcast, Poker in the Ears, episode 85, the audio version, now available to download at soundcloud.com/pokerintheears. Very soon it'll be available on iTunes, Stitcher, and all the other major podcast platforms. Hope you enjoyed the video version. We've got the dinner break coming up in 90 minutes, Joe.
Dinner, official sponsor of the PokerStars Championship. Presented by the Monte Carlo Casino. Dinner, it's what's for dinner. If you've spent a whole day without food and it's becoming nighttime, might I recommend dinner?
Kolkovic on the button here with aces. He has picked up his fair share of hands over the course of the last hour. Just difficult to get action, especially with some very tight folds from players like Andre Bondar.
Well, Paniak is the shortest at the table, so maybe he wakes up with something he can come over the top with. Against a button raise, which should be Lucy. Nope.
Paniak folds, and Bondar is going to have a monster here to defend his big blind.
Bondar does not have a monster.
That said, Queen 9, it's a good hand to defend with.
It's defendable, that's for sure. No, boy, the instincts, huh? Can we call it instincts, or is it just the tightest bunch of players we've seen in forever?
I think it's the latter for sure. So Kolkovic now playing 24 big blinds to stack at 3.9 million.
Don't bother, buddy, she's married.
What was the race?
Perfect.
What was the race?
How much? 375.
Friendly race.
Friendly race.
It was friendly, no, the race?
The what?
The race was friendly.
Friendly.
What if this really is Kolkovic's lucky room and he literally never loses another tournament he plays here? Like he wins it next year, he wins it the year after that. That would be spooky, right?
Incredibly spooky. If you have just joined us or you missed that particular story, Michael Kolkovic, who is not a professional poker player, lives in Paris with his wife Cynthia, but 10 years ago, they got married in this very room. They chose the Salle des Étoiles, the Room of the Stars, as their wedding venue. Had an amazing 5-day wedding party at the Monte Carlo Bay Hotel and Resort. And now 10 years later, he is here playing for a championship trophy and a first prize of €500,000.
Now, as you know, we are playing the ace-queen game today. Every hand, someone gets ace-queen. This time, Rafael Sorrentino's turn.
Kolkovic with a dominated ace, ace-9 of spades.
Seems like a fine hand to play if he wants to. I don't know about doing anything other than that.
Kolkovic was saying last night, it has been strange walking into his wedding venue every day and seeing all those poker tables, but he does feel it's his lucky room and he feels it's destiny, it's fate. He's defended here with the ace-9. He'll play the flop in position. Looks like Clack could still potentially change the dynamics of this hand, though. He's got pocket 4s in the big blind.
Pocket 4s, 16 big blinds to start the hand.
350?
350.
No, Sam, she said they were married in 2007, which was 10 years ago. Sam's just checking on the date of the wedding.
Call.
C4 call.
Getting a really great price to quote unquote set mine here.
So three-handed going to this flop. Ace,
No set.
8, 6. So top pair for Sorrentino and Kolkovic. Obviously, Sorrentino has the better kicker here. Action's been checked to him. He was the pre-flop aggressor.
Only one spade too, but this is a good opportunity for Sorrentino to continue to pull away from the rest of the pack. Pretty hilarious that being chip leader and having 7.3 million chips is only 45 big blinds.
Just
So that's what happens when you go 6 hours without losing more than one player.
That is true. So 400,000 into 1.23 million. Now, this is something that we saw yesterday as well. Kolkovic does take his time over his decisions. He decides here to call the 400K. Klatt folds the fours, and we go heads up to the turn. Spade makes things interesting.
So does a 7.
It's a jack of diamonds.
Did we say jack? Did anyone say, oh, a jack of diamonds makes things interesting?
Sorrentino now checks.
Sometimes I begin to doubt that we affect the deal of the cards at all. Unbelievable. Sorrentino checks. Oh, yeah. Wow. Interesting.
Now, the way this table's been going, I would firmly expect Kolkovic to check behind here, but no, he takes the betting lead. Throws in 300,000.
Bad timing. It's a really small bet. Can't even do the math on that.
Well, Sorrentino has called this hand going to the river. The river card being the 5 of hearts. So Sorrentino has a lock on this. There's 2.6 million in the middle. Kolkovic has just over that behind. Sorrentino checks. Kolkovic checks behind.
Interesting double check there from Sorrentino. I can understand not thinking he could get 3 streets, but I guess that was like a turn blocker bet that got him a cheap showdown.
Meanwhile, some praise for the podcast on Twitter. Alfred Green says, Joe, the Maria Ho clip was just absolute gold. You Are Mom is awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. My mom is awesome.
So Kolkovic has dropped down to 18 big blinds. We've got 3 players now in the danger zone.
Danger zone.
And Bondar isn't exactly comfortable. At least Sorrentino is now playing close to 60 big blinds. Pretty dominant chip leader now with 9.2 million. 10 minutes into the new level. Level 31, 81.60. Kolkovic is going to be first to act on this next hand. Hand 84 of the final table. Well, Kolkovic folded under the gun. Paniak decides to shove for his last 1.7 million. Ace, Jack. King Jack for Bondar, and he very quickly folds. 8-6 for Klatt, that'll go in the muck. Round to Sorrentino in the big blind. And he passes as well.
CK writes in the say play is tighter than Kenny Rogers' forehead. Are you implying that the gambler has had work done?
Nico asked the question, how tight are these players? I left the stream when the Swiss dude went out. I've come back 3 hours later and they're still 5-handed? Correct. So Paniak, the last remaining online qualifier, had a 27th place finish in the Bahamas in 2013, Total live earnings of more than $1 million. He's been on the tour. He's been around a bit.
I've never made $1 million in anything except for debt.
I'm big blind, yes.
Yes. Is it 9 folds? Is it 2 folds?
On the button, queen 5. Can't even do it with that stack. Onto the blinds.
Sorrentino in the small.
Well, the ace-queen game continues.
And it's his turn again.
He just limps in.
No, it's a raise to 425,000.
Excuse me.
The blacks are 100K chips. If you see plenty of those going, you know it's a raise.
I just misread the graphics. I should have been looking at the chips. You're right. Domination Nation.
Queen 10 for Kolkovic.
Seems like a fine spot for a just call.
Yep, he defends, and these two go to battle again. Heads up to the flop.
Queen 10 in position. You don't want to open up the action again. It's a perfectly good defend hand.
Jack 5 deuce with 2 clubs.
So if you want to be optimistic, Kolkovic has got a flush draw and a straight draw. If you want to be a jerk about it, nothing.
Sorrentino betting with the best hand. He's a 4-1 favorite here, 430,000. Pretty easy fold for Kolkovic, I guess.
Unless you want to be an optimist about it.
Oh. I'd argue that's a little stubborn.
Think of all the great turns you can hit. Clubs or king or a 9.
Or an 8 to pick
Or-
up a gut shot.
Or any other card in the deck that's not that good.
Well, the irony is he's hasn't lost any equity.
Interesting that Sorrentino didn't double barrel when he had top pair, very good kicker. Now that he's got nothing.
And this is a situation where Kolkovic really just has to let it go. He cannot call off nearly 50% of his chips with a gut shot.
And he's not that I think he's capable of this, but I mean, I don't really know what he's doing here. Maybe he's just trying to get a sense how many chips he has left. It's not like he can ever really call here and set up like a river shove or something, because he's not going to have any fold equity once he calls. I mean, Sorrentino might have to call with absolutely nothing, considering how little Kolkovic will have behind once he makes this call. Maybe, is he thinking of, no. He's just gonna count this out and fold. Because we're forgetting another option. Kolkovic loses his mind here and jams. But it might work. He's against ace queen.
Best thing he can do is fold and leave himself 12 big blinds. And that's what he elects to do.
You can pick one if you want.
That's nice.
You show one.
Well, straight back to the action where Sorrentino has raised to 330,000 from the button. Kolkovic in the small blind. It's ace-5 against 6 deuce.
What's going on, Michael?
I am all in.
Oh, no.
What?
I mean, I think ace-5
About
can find a
2
fold
million.
here, maybe.
Count, please.
What about the big blind? He's out too? Yep.
So with Pagnac folding, it's back on Sorrentino. Ace-5 of clubs. This is an 11 big blind shove.
970.
Man, this is going to be close.
70 total.
He could potentially find a call
Oh.
here.
He did find a call.
Does call. And Michael Kolkovic, the start of day chip leader, is at risk. He gets it in with 6 deuce offsuit. He does have live cards against Rafael Sorrentino's ace-5. But if he doesn't connect here, if he doesn't hit, he's gone.
I mean, this is kind of best case scenario against ace-5.
This is not what Cynthia came to see.
Wow.
2 5s on the flop. The gut shot for Kolkovic. 4 outs. He needs a 3.
We've seen him pull the gutty before. Cracked aces with it.
Turn card is a 7.
That increases some outs.
Indeed, he can now hit a 3 or an 8. 8 cards he can hit to survive. The river is another 7, giving Sorrentino a full house, and we lose Michael Kolkovic, the start of day chip leader who got off to such an amazing start at this final table, busts in 5th place, cashing for
Good luck, everybody.
147,120 euros. Maybe his lucky room is
Yes.
not so lucky.
That's still pretty lucky considering this guy's experience and that's it. And his skill level, this is far better than anyone could have expected. And he still gets to go home to that. So, you know, it's not all bad.
He will not get to lift the trophy in the room where he married his wife, but he does depart, and bear in mind, he never intended to play this tournament. He does leave the Salle des Etoiles this time around with nearly 150,000 euros.
Well, both times he leaves the Salle des Etoiles with a beautiful woman.
That is an excellent point. Very well made. And Rafael Sorrentino has moved over the 12 million mark. Now, the dynamic of the table changes. We're four-handed. We've got 2 super short stacks, a guy sitting on around 30 bigs, and the chip leader with 76 big blinds. Still 1 hour, 10 minutes to play this level. And for the rest of this level, we will have a guest analyst in the booth. We welcome from Team PokerStars Pro, Felipe Mojave, Felipe Ramos. The hype is real.
Felipe, always a pleasure to have you in the booth. Have you been following along, or are you coming in cold?
No, I've been following along. I'm always watching you too. You guys know. I've been playing the high roller event and then watching the live stream. See, this is my phone. I'm on Twitch.
You must have so much phone battery. How do you have 100% battery? 'Cause, oh, you got a battery case, don't you?
And a battery pack.
You sneaky.
So yeah, you guys been great as always. Let's follow a little bit of the action here live with you.
Yeah, well, obviously we are now starting to see some action, which was sadly lacking during the last 90 minutes. But it was inevitable that this was going to happen, and we commented that when we came back from break, we were playing an average stack of 27 big blinds. It was inevitable that someone was going to go out. I just didn't think any of us expected it to be Kolkovic.
Yeah, that's true, because he was one of the leaders, right? He had a lot of chips.
Well, he was the start of day chip leader, and he was comfortably third in chips, ahead of Klatt and Paniak, the 2 short stacks. Should point out that both those guys have just laddered up more than 50 grand.
Wow. I mean, it's kind of normal whenever you hit a final table and the action is like kind of frozen because the payout jumps and everything. But as you said, as the average stack now is a little shallow and we have action short-handed, then we're supposed to see some fireworks.
Ace Queen again for Sorrentino.
I feel like the suits are the same too.
He raises under the gun, gets folds from the rest of the table, and increases his dominance at this 4-handed final table.
I don't want to insult Kevin, who is a hell of a dealer, but buddy, are you shuffling?
Did you take his cards back?
Yeah, are you just sliding the cards around the table?
That was fun actually, because talking about Ace Queen, I move the tables playing the high roller event, and then Some guy asked me at the other table, what did I have? Because they were watching the hand was taking a while. And I said, I have ace queen. So they deal, he raises, I'm the big blind because I was just moved. What do I got in the big blind? Ace queen.
Ace queen. It
So
is. You know, they used to keep track in the old days of the WPT, and it was like ace queen was the #1 hand that people went broke with in all their televised tournaments.
wow. That's odd. It should be a good hand. Should be making money out of that ace queen.
This hand's been folded to Klatt in the small blind, 9-6 off. He starts the hand with just 12 big blinds. Just give Sorrentino a walk. Give him even more chips. Probably had ace queen. Oh, Jack 4. So how has this stop of the tour been for you, Felipe?
Oh man, I love this place, you know. Monaco is so nice because it's very different from any other stop in the circuit. Has like this environment that people want to be here, and most of a lot of new people that never been here. I've been talking at the tables. People enjoy Monaco very much. And I'd like to invite you guys for next year's stop here, because if you guys never played a poker event here in Monaco, you guys are missing out big time. You could have drive Ferrari or a Lamborghini with us here with PS activities, PS fun. It was really nice.
Yeah, some really fun stuff here. Even, by the way, I should give a shout out to some folks, Tyler and Jess, who won their way here. Had an absolute blast. They're not rich people. They won their entry to like 1 or 2 events or something, but they found smaller stuff to play. They found a McDonald's. You can enjoy yourself here if you don't want to do the baller thing, because there's lots of fun stuff to do. And the thing is that, I hate to say, but like, you know, the pros are busy playing, so the Stars fun and the driving the Lamborghinis and the stuff like that, it's really not that hard to do. There's plenty of room.
Yeah, and you can actually travel on a very good budget to anywhere. I'm traveling like 99% of the time, so
I feel like this is gonna be a plug for Felipe's chain of backpacker hostels. Come stay at Felipe's.
Yeah, oftenly. I mean, I try to find some nice places because I like to have a space. I like to have a kitchen and cook or do some noise during the evening, you know. So yeah, you can find a lot of good places to stay for cheaper if you're traveling on a budget. If you're planning to play the nationals or the cups, which are pretty good
Very
events.
affordable. Yep.
Yeah, they have a big outcome because a lot of players. And you can always qualify on PokerStars for cheap or for nothing. As there's a lot of people I meet every day like, qualify for a free roll. I want spin and go. And I started playing poker like that. I played that's true story. I used to play $5 and $10 live sit and goes, 1 table and 2 table sit and goes. And I won one of those, deposited some money on PokerStars, played a satellite for events, satellited in, got 6th place, and started my poker career.
Working your way up from the bottom.
So that last hand, we actually saw Bondar put chips in a pot. He raised under the gun with ace-8, didn't get any action. One thing I did see that you got to do while you were here in Monaco, Felipe, was you went to the football game the other night.
Oh man, football game was really, really nice. I was like a little bittersweet because we're in Monaco and I was cheering for Juve. Mainly because of Dani Alves, my good friend that plays for Juve, and he actually killed the game, like 2 assists. Like, it was amazing to be there and watch, you know. It was really, really fun, really good. And I know that big props to the PokerStars Live team that
Impossible to get tickets.
That helped us with tickets, helped us changing the tournament schedule, and we made poker very fun that night because it's not only about poker, it's about the poker lifestyle. And then, so big props to the guys. I would like to thank them, to the tournament directors and everyone that approved that, because all the players, they were very, very happy to finish the day a little earlier, go to the game, you know, and so everyone was happy. Thank you very much.
I'll say you're welcome, even though I had nothing to do with it whatsoever. You're welcome, Felipe.
So Sorrentino raised that last hand, did not get any customers, bringing us to hand 92 of the final table.
You know what I did back in the day, like, just to be like because I'm a more than normal person. I went to play my first BSOP event in Rio, and I slept in a car.
By the way, if you guys have never heard of the
I had no
BSOP,
place to stay.
that's the Brazilian series of poker, right?
Yeah.
And it gets about 10,000 runners.
Yes, we have a lot of players, and poker is growing a lot in Brazil. We're actually having a BSOP event
Got
in
a
North
big hand
Brazil.
shaping up here, Felipe. Let's hold
Yeah.
that thought for a second.
Sorrentino opens under the gun with ace king of clubs. Bondar picks up nines. Now, I know that this guy is tight, but come on, the table is four-handed. He's got a pocket pair. He cannot fold this.
Mm, absolutely right. And Sorrentino always has a hand, though.
Yeah.
Just a call from the small blind.
He started picking up the hands that Kolkovic was getting earlier in the day.
Andreas Klatt still to act in the big blind.
Unlikely he's going to wake up with anything huge here.
Sure enough, he folds. So heads up to the flop.
Won't you play 5 million?
Near enough. Jack 6-4. Only one overcard to the nines, but I do feel here that if Sorrentino c-bets, I can easily see Bondar folding based on his previous behavior.
Well, that's very important for everyone that's following the live transmission here, because what you said is a tendency, and what poker players need to do, what good poker players do, they follow the tendencies. So if that's a tendency, this means that your opponent's gonna do this continuation bet so much against you, which means you gotta stick to some flops, you know, see some turns, even if the flop's not ideal. I would say that a jack high board playing short-handed, it's one of the flops I want to see. One of the flops I would love to see with nines playing out of position. That's why I would recommend to 3-bet and play a little more aggressive from out of position, so you don't need to be in that spot.
Right, you don't have to wonder as much.
Yeah.
So Bondar did indeed call. He now checks turn and Sorrentino checks behind. Ace on the river, but it is the ace of hearts giving Bondar a 9-high flush.
I wonder if Sorrentino is gonna bet here, and what do he thinks? He thinks he has the best hand. Thinks he's bluffing, and that'll be cool to know, right?
Goes
And
check, check.
Like so many of these pots have today, it goes check, check on the river.
Yeah.
Splash, right?
Yes, he does have a flush. Well observed.
Yeah, that's probably a good river to bluff, you know, because whenever your opponent calls small blind, there's not much kings or queens on his range. More likely has like a bottom pair or suited connector or something like this, which you could get away with a bluff right there, especially checking behind the turn. When you're continuation betting too much, it means you have some little equity and you want to see the river. As he had a little equity, he had a gut shot, that's why he checked it to the river. So bluff would work, I guess. So as I was saying, Stapes.
Yeah, buddy. Yes.
We're having a BSOP event right now. Just started yesterday in North Brazil.
What are you doing here? You gotta go. You gotta get on a plane.
I know, man. I almost made the final table for 25K. I got 12th place, and so that's why.
I met a girl from North Brazil in LA last week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she taught me the bottle dance.
A bottle dance?
Yeah, you know.
Oh, the bottle dance.
Yeah,
Oh, my God.
the bottle dance,
The
buddy.
little bottle dance.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Oh, my
Another
God.
pocket pair for Bondar.
Yeah, pocket sevens this time, and he has position. He has the button.
Bottle dance so famous, man.
I'm a fan.
Bondar raises to 365,000. Klatt with 8-3 of spades. Folds the small blind. Chip leader Rafael Sorrentino is in the big blind. Queen Jack.
Quite defendable. Do you think he's getting tired at this point? He's like, just give me a 7 deuce. Give me a 10-4. Good buddy.
You say that. One thing that was clear, speaking to all these players at the conclusion of day 5, is how exhausted they are. Now, granted, that was the end of quite a long day. It was nighttime, but remember, this is day 6 of this tournament, and fatigue does become an issue.
Oh yeah.
Do you think Bondar can find a way to play this tight?
Set
Yeah,
on the flop.
yeah, he sure did. Checks it back. Now, James, there aren't a ton of hard and fast rules in poker. Now, this is a pretty dry board, so this is one instance I think maybe it's okay to check back, but what is my rule of thumb?
Bet your set.
Always bet your sets.
Yeah, I like to bet my sets as well.
You got to build a pot.
Well, Sorrentino has pretty much whiffed, and he's checked for a second time. Here comes the delayed c-bet, which will get a pretty quick fold from Sorrentino, taking us to hand 94.
Daniel on Twitter says the Felipe Mojave is the best.
Thank you very much. No, I'm not, but I really appreciate your comment, and thank you very much.
Daniel on Twitter says the Felipe Mojave is one of the better ones.
Thank you very much.
Still can't quite believe the way Kolkovic went out. Sorrentino, and we said at the start of the day that he's probably got more experience. He's probably the most accomplished of all the players at this final table, and now he's got all of the chips.
Yeah, he's playing pretty conservative and waiting for the good spots. Normally, as chip leader there, when you have a weak opponent check behind, you probably bet a turn with so many types of hands, and he's really taking his time, not bluffing, waiting for value hands. I think he has a chip advantage, and then as James said very well, the expertise and the experience to do that. But what would you recommend for someone that has more chips, and some people with few chips and other in the middle sector, is to be more aggressive? This means you can build a bigger chip lead because people are waiting
1.5?
for other to bust, right?
Well, I'm not a terribly good poker player in general, but I have no idea how to play middle range stacks whatsoever, like 30 to 40 big blinds. To me, it's always this call, miss, fold, call, miss, fold. Oh, I have 19 big blinds. I'm all in, I'm out.
1-9.
That's actually very, very difficult. It's not your problem. It's probably the problem of most of the
A common
poker
problem,
players.
I assume, I hope.
Yeah.
Wow, Paniak calls this bet of 190,000.
You got to hit your gut shot every once in a while, Jimbo.
He does have the best hand for now, Queen High. But I think if Sorrentino can fire again, Paniak's going to find it very difficult to continue in this hand. He has just 8 big blinds behind.
But can Sorrentino fire again against the big blind? Yeah, it's tough.
Check.
Paniak checks behind, and the river card is a 4. Pair now for Paniak.
He's got to feel more comfortable about that, and also the way that Sorrentino's played this hand. I think you can have a showdown here, right?
Yeah, pretty sure. Pretty sure
425.
it's a lot of couple draws that miss the river. There's not many trees in the range, pretty much more overcards, which is not the river card. So I would love to see a bet on the river if Sorrentino have bet the turn, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But as he didn't bet the turn, shows like that he's given up a little bit, and then
Good
Let's
call,
go.
Paniak.
425,000. So he adds a significant percentage to his stack. 835k. Paniak now playing 15 big blinds, making Klatt the low man at the table with a 10 big blind stack. So after hand 100 comes hand 101. It's the other Russian who's first to speak, Maxim Paniak, the last remaining online qualifier. He folds. So round to Bondar on the button. He folds. Andreas Klatt has kings in the small blind. What's the play here? Shove, limp, min raise.
he's got 14 blinds. I think if you show weakness to the chip leader, is the best way to play this hand. Either if you're shoving or limping in, and he's limping in. which I like. Which I like.
Just completes Queen 3 the hand for Sorrentino, and he checks his option.
That's fine. You're gonna see a flop. Only 2 cards working against you. You're out of position, but you're playing the King Kong, so it's beautiful.
Well, Sorrentino has missed this flop, 10-9-6. A great tweet from Christopher McAteer. Bondar has got to be the tightest player I've ever watched, and I've watched myself.
Very nice comment. Yeah, let's see how much Clat is gonna bet on this flop. Sometimes if you go for the slow play, you gotta stick on slow playing, you know. It's good for a check raise or something. On this board, looks like you have a draw, looks like you don't have a mate hand, so it's good as well.
Clat bets 240,000, gets a fold, doesn't get maximum value there, but
Yeah, that's all right. He played all right.
yeah.
Sorrentino had nothing, and he's not actually the aggressive guy, you know. To see him like raising after limping, he probably will need a hand. That's why if he raises, he gets to the same spot, while Sorrentino has to have a hand anyway. I think that spot for you guys that are following from the beginning, it's really important for you to mix up your plays, you know. So against very aggressive players, you limping or you min raise, that's pretty good. Against tight players, sometimes if you shove and if you go in, it looks like weakness, and you're probably gonna get called by worse.
Bondar first to act here, 8-7 of clubs. I mean, if he's not playing ace-jack, why would he play these suited connectors?
Good question.
And also, I think I'm right in saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, but hands like this lose their value when you're short-handed.
Yeah, they lose a lot of their value because it's really hard for you to make a hand. You only have 2 cards, and it is a very good bet actually. With his stack, 7-8 suited is pretty good hand to open. Plus you have the chip leader on the small blind now, which is less likely he's gonna battle and play. And the short stacks need to have a hand to move in. There's not much post-flop game for the short stacks.
Right, you don't want this exact thing to happen where you raise and then you have somebody come over the top of you, and
And
then
you have to fold.
Yeah, you can't even mess around with this.
Correct.
When you're playing hands like 8-7 suited, you want the action to go 6 ways before the flop.
Yeah, you
Not
need
one way
you want
all
more
in.
people. You want more people, or you want to play heads up in position, and you can represent all those aces and kings that comes on the board because you're a tie player. If he's using his image, that's beautiful, you know. If you play like a wide range using your image, that's good.
Well, Clat is not deterred. He moves all in for 2.68 million.
How much?
Again, it's posturing.
Yeah, you know, Bonder plays quite tight and still gets shoved by ace-4. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think that's like the best play in the book.
I mean, that's the thing. If I'm
You know?
Clat and Bondar's opened under the gun, I'm running from the hills.
Jesus Christ.
Do we know that
I'm on
he
the door.
knows? But we don't know that.
Well, I would think that Clat has got friends probably watching the stream and feeding back this kind of information.
And adjusting his game.
I don't know. He doesn't look like the
Yeah.
kind of guy that has friends.
But like that's a little bit, I would say will be a normal play, but it's not in this situation. I would look at my ace-4, this rag hand with this 4 kicker. I would say Bondar, take it down. And now
Let's go. Take it.
I mean, this is not a real decision, is
Lead.
it?
Next hand.
no, it's not.
In which case, it's just kind of,
STAHP. Stop.
yes.
Yeah, you know that this old mentality in poker that people don't like to play the ace X sometimes because they feel they're dominated. So they rather play a pseudo connector and say, oh, okay, let's play the pseudo connector because you're never gonna have something like this. So I'm alive.
It's more clear cut. Yeah, what's gonna happen, but no. Stop.
So Klatt is now playing 20 big blinds. Bondar has dropped down to 30. Paniak hovering around 10.
Very good timing, I must say, from Klatt. Very good timing. Because whenever you have 14 blinds, someone opens and you 3-bet shove light and you win the pot, you're almost doubling up.
Well, we've mentioned it a few times today, Felipe. Obviously, this is the guy who outlasted a field of 1,252 to win the National Championship event here in Monaco. So he's already scored 151 grand this week. He is guaranteed more than that in this tournament, at least 200K.
Yeah, that's very nice, man. Congratulations for the win and for being here at the final table. Awesome week, unforgettable week.
Klatt first to act here.
That's what I say to people actually. People say I don't have the bankroll, I don't play the main event. I say, see, maybe he's one of the guys that would never be playing the main event if he doesn't score in a small event first. So you can always try to sidelight in whenever you are in the tournament, right?
Sorrentino opens on the button with King Jack. Paniak has shoved from the small blind. Bondar has folded. And Sorrentino asks for a count. We know it's around 10 big blinds. Paniak with ace-10 of hearts. I mean, if you run the math, Sorrentino is probably getting the right price. He's not that far behind.
Yeah, he's got a call. It's like
we can generously call this 2-1.
Yeah.
Call.
There it is.
Yeah.
Sorrentino does call, putting Paniak at risk. Paniak does get it in with the best hand, but Sorrentino is live.
All the other two guys are like, Sorrentino, Sorrentino.
And Sorrentino has got 41% equity here. Paniak, less than a 60% favorite. And he needs that ace-10 to hold to survive.
Sorrentino can manage to get lucky here. It's going to be him versus the two Andres.
The flop is king high with two spades. What a flop for Sorrentino, leaving Paniak with just 2 outs.
Good flop, sir.
Bring out the stretcher.
Little jinx, left away from the chair.
Still alive on the turn, needs an ace on the river, needs to hit one of those 2 outs. The river card is a 7, and Maxim Paniak exits in 4th place. He won his seat online, and he cashes out for 1,999,900 euros. We'll round it, we'll call it 200 grand. And Rafael Sorrentino has now got more than 13 million and 81 big blind stack, firmly in control of this 3-handed final table.
Kudos, man. Well done, 4th place. You win your seat online and then you come here and win 200K. Very nice, congratulations. Very nice. Well
Felipe, is now the time for Rafael Sorrentino to just raise?
I wouldn't look at my cards.
Pretend to look at them.
Yeah, pretend to look at them and raise. Especially whenever Klatt's the big blind, right? And Bondar, I mean, whenever
Bondar is gonna, at this point, we know he's tight, so he's gonna wait to ladder again, we assume.
Yeah.
So his big blind is gonna be quite low-hanging fruit, like most of my jokes.
Good, good spot for Sorrentino, having almost double of the chips between his two opponents combined.
No time for the award ceremony. 3-handed play. Go.
Sorrentino loving his position right now. He did feel, when we spoke to him last night, that he did have the edge at this table. He was feeling pretty confident about his position, about his seat draw, about how he saw the rest of the table. He came oh so close in London in 2014, busting in 10th place, and now he is the firm favorite to win the event here in Monte Carlo. Lift that trophy and take home more than 500,000 euros. But it's not over yet. Klatt and Bondar still have chips. We've seen weirder stuff happen.
Some of it today.
Even though I love the Italians and I see my friends Musta and Walter on the rail over there cheering for Sorrentino. So look at them. And so Italy is like it's a family country for us from Brazil, but we see that in a poker tournament anything can happen. This guy that has 19 bigs, 300 at the final table, he could win. He could still win.
Clat in the small blind with ace deuce.
I'm a kitty clat. Meow. What do you do here, Philippe? Small versus big. The guy to your left has all the chips. You've got an ace. You got 19 big blinds.
We're just gonna play this very aggressive. I'll play any ace from the small blind against the chip leader in a tough position like lasting chips.
Because there's no laddering up for you,
Yeah,
right?
of course. And then that's a very good situation for you to grab chips, not to lose chips. So even though ace deuce not the dream hand you wanna see from the small blind, it's a pretty good hand, much better than the average hands you're gonna get dealt.
Well, Clat limps in.
And plus aces. Whenever an ace come on the flop, you know what? They have a top pair.
Indeed, and
There
he
you go.
does indeed have top pair. Sorrentino has second pair, and of course might not think that Clat has an ace because he limped rather than raised.
Yeah, so both players have a small flush draw now. Better for Sorrentino with the 5 high flush draw. Which is gonna make him stick it in. Which is gonna make him still make this call on the turn pretty much. It's what I believe. Having position. Being a limped pot, so sometimes he takes this ace away from the range of his opponent, which can be a mistake sometimes. As we see Clat slow playing some big hands over there, and he has got a best hand. Depending on how much he bets here, he can get some value. And pretty much most of the time, he wouldn't be aware of this board run out, with 3 spades, small blind, big blind, you got top pair, you pretty much got the nuts. Let's see how much he's gonna bet into a 860,000 pot. I would go for something like 2/3 of the pot.
Well, let's see what he did go for. 465 into 860.
Yeah,
Just over half.
just over half. Yeah.
Gets
and-
a call, so hey, that's an important pot
Absolutely.
for Andreas Clat.
Now playing 25 big blinds and crucially narrowing the gap between himself and Bondar.
Yeah, so the quicker the call, the more value you could get.
Right, because he didn't have to think about it.
Yeah. So maybe I was a little right there saying that he needed to bet a little more.
I totally forgot until this moment, James, that this guy already won a massive tournament this week.
We just discussed it a short while ago, and he's now guaranteed significantly more than that. 271,000 euros is what third place will receive. But he's done an excellent job of just staying alive, and now he's pretty much level with Bondar.
Very well. I like the way he played this hand. He played pretty well, and just wanted to see a little bit of bigger bet on the river. That would also help whenever you get raised, because if you bet more, less likely your opponent is gonna bluff you on the river.
It's a great point.
If you bet less, then you can get bluffed. Well, what happens if Sorrentino goes all in on that river? Then you have a tough bluff catcher with top pair. So that's why sometimes I say that bet sizing is a science. Someday I'll write a book and say the science of poker, bet sizing, something like that.
Yeah, it's a foreign language to a lot of us. Me have best hand, me bet. That's my science.
Me hit, me bet.
Ace of clubs, 7 of clubs for Clat. He has raised the button. Sorrentino in the small blind. It's 325,000 to call. Actually, 245,000 to call when you consider that Sorrentino has already invested the small blind.
3 bets coming.
Yep, he re-raises with the king 7.
I would say that I love this play. You know why? Because he takes a hit and he thinks he still has a chip lead, good player, has the advantage here, and so he would decide and go for a three bet, fearless. I love this play. I love this play to be honest, and that'll make your opponent to fold a lot of much better hands than yours. And plus, this is the situation where you put your opponent in pressure because of the pay jump after winning that hand. You know.
I really can't know what it's like to be in this situation, but obviously Klatt has to consider what's really going on here.
Yeah. That's one of the situations if he shoves, he never gets called if your opponent is bluffing. And if your opponent has a better hand than yours, you're dominated. So you're really in a tough spot.
Like, what's more likely? That somehow three-handed Sorrentino's got a better hand than you, or the chip leader on your left is abusing you?
That's
Ollie.
why.
There it is.
Oh,
Ameline.
well played. I still love Sorrentino's play because
Yeah,
he looks like you're strong, you know? It looks like you're very strong.
I mean, that doesn't have to work very often to be a profitable
of
play,
course.
so
Correct.
you're going to get shoved on infrequently.
Yeah. I just don't like the timing of his plays. He acts some sort of kind of quick. So
Sorrentino or Klatt we're talking about?
Sorrentino. Yeah, Klatt has a very good timing. He takes his time, even whenever he's gonna limping, he thinks through and he decides and executes. I love to see Sorrentino do that a little bit more, so he could maybe get away from that situation by, oh, I have a good hand, but I don't want to call.
Sure.
Now you're showing your three betting light. It's more likely that a good player like Klatt's gonna explore the situation.
So Bondar and Klatt are pretty much level now, 5 million each. Sorrentino with 11.5 million, so better than a 2-1 chip lead over both his opponents.
Sorrentino doing exactly what he is supposed to do, raising at every opportunity.
Keeping the pressure up.
Wow, another big one for Klatt.
Let's see what he opts. If he's gonna call or three bet. Considering Sorrentino's playing every hand, it's probably better to three bet. And if you three bet, you're probably calling. If your opponent going all in.
I mean, you're
That's
probably happier to win this pot pre-flop, right, than to have to c-bet the flop and win the same amount, or a very similar amount,
Yep.
and have less than an idea where you're at or miss completely. I mean, you're pretty sure you have the best hand now. Klatt does just call. So he does get a little deception out of this. And flops top pair for Sorrentino. Also, his hand's a little under-repped.
Yeah, very underwrapped. I like his play, but considering you need to grab chips, you're losing a little equity, three-handed. There's some sort of hands by the situation going over here that Sorrentino might be playing aggressive against Klatt that has him dominated. So
Sorrentino has continued for 330,000 into a pot of 800,000. Klatt just calls.
I don't think there's too many hands Klatt can call with here. I don't know if Sorrentino fires again at this or not if he doesn't improve. I mean, just with his stack and the way he's been playing so far, a flat before the flop, a flat on the flop, this is going to seem...
From the tendency, how he's been playing, he's gonna check to see a free river right now. I would love to see him bet because it would mean that he has a bet. See, he's gonna check to see the river. That give away some weakness. That gives away some weakness. And now there's no price in the world that's gonna make Klatt fold this in.
But does he give Sorrentino a chance to check behind, afraid of diamonds? I hope not.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
Clack going for value. There's 1.46 million in the middle.
I don't like the bet, to be honest, because the river's the diamond, and what are you calling with? You know, you check call, then the board doesn't change. So either you have this ace, or either you have a flush, which connected to the river. So I rather let my opponent bluff, since he checked back the turn. It doesn't have much hands, you know.
Sorrentino lets it go. And Clack now second in chips. 36 big blinds, just shy of 5.8 million. Andre Bondar now the low man at the table with 5 million.
What a shock.
Actually, Clack's got more than 5.8 million. Sorrentino still hovering around the 11 million mark, and still 22 minutes to play at this level. Another 22 minutes of 8160 with a 20k ante. At the end of this level, it's the dinner break.
2017 PokerStars Championship presented by Monte Carlo Casino, once again brought to you by dinner. Nothing cures hunger like food, and nothing says food like dinner. It's what's for dinner.
Chips.
Chips, a part of a well-balanced dinner.
Wow, the run of great hands for Clack continues. Ace-king suited.
You know, you hear people say it, I'm waiting for my rush. You think it'll never happen to you. But it happens, kids. It happens hard. Too bad we're going to have to take a break from this rush for dinner.
Once again, Clack decides to play it slow. He limps. Sorrentino with Jack 5 in the big blind.
Don't be like Racto, a loser who says he prefers breakfast for dinner. It's dinner and only dinner for dinner.
Uh-oh, coming from a raise. Bad timing.
Yeah, decides not to check his option this time. It makes it 460,000 total. How does Clack respond? Is it a smooth call? A re-raise?
I don't think it's gonna smooth call. I think it's gonna re-raise, because Ace King is a hand that doesn't play too well post flop out of position. In this situation, you're gonna miss most of the flops. So, and he has better equity pre-flop. So that's why I would love to see a raise.
Ace King suited? No way. You count down 3, 2, 1, blast off.
Right away.
Counting out the 3-bet. Those are the 100k chips. So that is more than $1 million. It's more than 1.5 million.
Zithel on Twitch says, this is a fantastic heads up match. Oh wait, there may be a third player.
Very nice.
Sorrentino folds and Clack continues to climb up. 40 big blinds now.
Yeah.
And we talked about him narrowing the gap with Bondar. Now he's starting to narrow the gap between himself and Sorrentino.
Whoa, imagine if he wins 2 tournaments, the national and the main. Wow, what a dream.
I'm sure no one's thinking about that more than him right now.
Yeah.
So this is Clack's button. He'll be first to act. 6 deuce. The rush is over. Yeah.
Good fault, good fault.
Small blind against big blind. 6-5 the hand for Sorrentino. Well, if you're going to raise anyone, Andre Bondar is the player to raise. 370,000 Sorrentino's made it. Jack 8 suited for Bondar. Now, most people are going to call their big blind here, but I'm not sure Bondar will.
I don't know. Flip a coin. As long as they're both heads, and heads means fold.
You got a call from the big blind.
There we go.
You have position, and you have a pretty good hand to see a flop.
The flop is 8-5-4, so top pair for Bondar, second pair for Sorrentino.
Well, this is fairly interesting.
Yeah.
Top pair versus big draw.
Yeah, Sorrentino also with the gut shot. And he continues.
Yeah, sorry, top pair versus pair and big draw.
425,000, roughly half the pot.
Some very important thing we need to take in consideration, other than your hand, is your opponent, right? So whenever you're playing against a chip leader and an aggressive opponent, you probably like much more your top pairs than against some other sort of players. So I don't mind if Bonder comes here with a raise and protects his hand.
He does raise.
Which is good, very good.
1.2 million he's made it.
Because very likely you have the best hand. Or in the other hand, if you call, what are the good turn cards here for you? Like the board is red, it's pretty connected board. You can see some over cards, so the raise is very good, it's very fine.
Sorrentino is not folding. Pair and a draw. Guess he wants to see a turn card. He calls the raise. And we go to the turn, and this pot is now at 3.2 million. And it's a 6 on the turn, giving Sorrentino 2 pair.
That's exactly why you call.
Bondar moves all in.
Oh my.
Call.
And Sorrentino calls.
Man, he should have known that 6 was probably not a very good card.
Yeah, that's when you check back.
So Bondar at risk, but he does have 8 outs. 4s, 8s, and jacks all working for him.
It's when you check back because you're bluffing your top pair, you know? You don't get called by any hand which is worse than yours.
So if Bondar doesn't hit on the river, if it isn't a jack 8 or 4, we're going heads up here in Monte Carlo.
This could be the heads up hand.
8 cards, save. Andre Bondar. That is not one of them. He is out in third. The Russian, who won a live satellite to play the main event, cashes out for 271,500 euros, while Rafael Sorrentino will go heads up against Andreas Klatt. 15.3 million for Sorrentino, 6 million for Andreas Klatt.
Playing so tight put him in a weird spot once they got three-handed, but it did get him to third place. I mean, who knows where he would have ended up otherwise. 271,000 euros for not a whole lot of effort. I mean, unless you count folding as effort.
No, amazing result, third place. You beat all the pros. You beat me.
I have an idea, bro.
Very nice. And I mean, we know how hard it is to get to third places in this major event.
We'll have the dinner break now.
Okay, here comes Luca with the
Not
laptops. Let's
comfortable.
listen into these deal negotiations. We've got Mustafa Canet on
just grab
Sorrentino's rail.
Ti rubato una sedia?
And Stefan Schilhabel acting for Andreas Klatt.
Per favore.
Did you see that? He had Google Earth open to Kate the dealer's house.
5-10 del trofeo ci siamo.
Can I just ask you guys if I can have only Rafael and Andreas on stage, and then you can discuss after with them. It's just I'm gonna show them. 1 second, thanks. So the payout is 500, 800?
Correct.
368, 700?
That's correct. The total is 869. Grazie, Mustafa.
It's Thomas, it's French.
Yeah.
And the chips are 15, 465.
So, to Rafa,
Oh, that's cool.
465.
And Andreas 6,350.
Which is
This is ICM, this is Chip Chop, which is the
Yeah,
same
it's
heads
the
up, so Chip Chop is this. We're gonna ask you to play for something, and obviously you can decide what to play for, but the remaining to play for, after we took out, you know, the second prize, it will be 132,000, so we'll ask you to play for something like, you know, 13 to 15K, something like that. You can decide, obviously, how much you like to play for.
So what is the
No,
minimum?
we can decide.
We can decide.
Yeah.
No, I'm
well,
saying, yeah, we can decide how much you want to play for, but the minimum that we ask you to play for is 10% of what's remaining for the prize pool, which is about 13, 14, 15K.
remaining once both of you as having the second place.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's why I'll
Is
never
it possible to play
have a
like,
deal in
well,
that
I don't know, for
situation.
10,
Me
20K?
personally speaking,
Yeah, you can play between,
And,
I suggested like 15K, because remaining is 132,100.
Oh, all right.
It's about 10% of that, so around 15K.
Yeah, let's play like just for 10 or 20K.
Cioè, dobbiamo dire prima quanto, per
Svanzi
quanto
gioco,
giochiamo e poi fai
Svanzi lo so
CM.
Sì, sì, no, se volete vedere l'ICM, se volete vedere Chip Chop è già questo, ma se mettete 15.000 qua, so I'll put 15,000 for an example, and this is going to be the number and the winner will take 15,000.
Yeah.
You can play for more.
No,
What
no,
I'm saying is,
Yeah, just do the minimum, right? 15K is right. It's okay.
so if
You're
you play,
guaranteed to win this.
if you play in 15K, you're guaranteed to win this. So se giochi per 15.000,
Fa le zappe da 15.
So this is the numbers and plus 15K, right?
Correct.
Okay. I'm good.
E quanto viene se giochiamo per 15?
4,51. Sorry, I don't want to be rude. I just,
That's
I,
all right. No,
no,
it's
I don't want
okay,
to be rude. I'll talk Italian so
It's all right.
a little
I
bit better.
understand.
Thanks.
What you going
È 4,51,714 per te e 4,02,76 per lui e giocate per 15.000. Quindi se tu vinci sono
but Luca said it's
4,51
like
più 15,
450
se
for the
vince
chip
lui,
leader
tu hai preso comunque
and
4,51,
400,000 to Clat, which even thinks up a little bit, and 15K to the winner.
Cioè, giochiamo
Yeah,
15
this is minimum.
That's
This
what
is
he said.
minimum. Nee, nee.
100.
400 dan krijg je nog
Io 4,50.
We spelen 15K.
Well, now they can discuss it with their respective teams. Sorrentino will run the numbers past Mustafa Canet, and Andreas Klatt can discuss the numbers with Stefan Schilhabel. But yeah, the exact numbers, by the way, on that deal calculator: 451,714 euros for Sorrentino, 402,786 euros for Klatt. And as you mentioned, Felipe, they would still be playing for 15,000 euros, plus, of course, the trophy. Thomas Lamash, tournament director, will, of course, oversee and sign off if a deal is made.
Huh? Ja, klar.
No handshake yet. Or whatever they're gonna do to officially agree. High five.
Yeah,
Everything's right.
Eat a piece of spaghetti, lady in the tramp.
I'll love to do my deals whenever it's my turn
This is
as
to
well
play-
with the Italians
the Chief Chop and the 15K.
national and worldwide TV, so I don't get jacked.
Sono di da. I'm fine, yeah.
The mafia.
Cioè, praticamente lui piglia 400,
So
2
Klatt is happy
e
with
io
the deal, by the way.
4,51
One guy's in.
e 15k di zap.
Let's see if
Questo però
Sorrentino
prendo io.
agrees.
O come funziona? Vinci. Tocca vincere.
Looking pretty good.
You're giving up.
Devi vincere sul campo.
You're gonna win 370k.
For 15.
Now
I just
you're
was
winning
saying that I was playing for
25K more
15K.
for the
Yeah.
chance to win
Yeah.
40k more and never 130k more. How that
it's
deal
fine.
can be good for you?
There it is.
Congrats, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hands
gonna let you
are
sign?
shaken, the deal is done.
Let's go. 44.
Okay, so the deal is done and the players are going on dinner. Roughly 450,000, roughly 400,000 for Klatt, playing for 15k, and the heads-up battle will commence after a 60-minute dinner break, during which time we will entertain you with some of the highlights from today. So join us in an hour's time for the heads-up conclusion of the PokerStars Championship presented by Monte Carlo Casino main event.